If you've ever been in closing and the signature name affidavit was handed out and the wife had more names on it than the husband was aware of, go ahead and click that like and subscribe and share button. Roll intro. Hey everybody, this is Chip. Today we're going over deeds in a couple of minutes. I'm going to teach you everything you kind of need to know about the big ones and maybe a couple things you didn't know. Okay, so the first one we're going to go over is the general warranty deed. This is the one you're going to see the most often, and it's the most common. The reason for that in North Florida is it's actually the one that's required by the NEFAR and FAR contracts. So the reason for that is this. The seller is actually giving the buyers 5 covenants and warranties with that deed, okay? The first one is they're the only owners to the property because there's nobody else that's going to be living on the couch. The buyers aren't going to have a knock on the door and realize that there's somebody else that owns title to the property, okay? The second one is they actually have the right to sell it. So there's no restrictions on how they can sell it. The third one is there's no liens on the property and there's no restrictions on how the buyers can use the property. The fourth, there's no title defects. So there's nothing in the whole history of the property. We call that the chain of title. There's nothing there, no skeletons in the closet that they're going to come up and challenge the buyer's ownership in the future. And the fifth and the big one is if any of those are violated, that the sellers will actually defend the buyers. Okay, now the way the sellers get around this is title insurance. Now that's where a title company like Closing Bear comes in. So the sellers, most common people don't really know the whole history of the property. They don't know that. So it wouldn't be safe for them to make those representations and warranties. So they pay a title insurance company as part of the transaction to go ahead and review that chain of title and clear up any of those issues before the transaction happens. That way, when it happens, the buyers have a clean title and they have 100% ownership and no challenges coming their way. Okay, so the second deed we're going to go over is a special warranty deed. Okay, so the same warranties are in effect as the general warranty, but this is limited to the time the seller themselves have owned it. Okay, so what they're saying here is we'll give you all the same warranties as the general warranty deed, but only during our ownership. So we're basically saying that we didn't create any problems. Okay, generally you only kind of see this on commercial deals. The reason for that is that the title defects that can be there on a commercial deal are a lot more complicated than residential. You'll also see this on REO transactions. So if you're getting a deed from a bank out of foreclosure, okay, the bank, they don't want to get involved in the title insurance and in the chain of title. They'll just say, as far as we know, we didn't create any problems. If we did, we'll cover those. Okay, the third deed we're going to go over is the quit claim deed. Not quick. That's one of my ultimate pet peeves in this industry. It is not a quick claim deed. It's not fast, okay? It takes me the same amount of time to do these as it does something else, okay? So quit claim. What this one is, think about it like this. The person that's selling, the person that's signing the deed is quitting their claim to the property. So they may not know what they've got. They may not care. All they're saying is, whatever I've got, you got, okay? I'm not giving you any warranties. I'm not insuring anything. It's just, you can have whatever I have. Okay, the fourth deed we're going to go over is called a life estate deed. This one you'll see from time to time during estate planning, but I don't actually think it's best. I'll go over the best one in number 5. So life estate basically says if I own the property and I want to sell it or I want to convey it to somebody, but I want to live there until I die. Okay, so that's why it's kind of an estate planning tool. So somebody can sell the property and reserve a right to live there until they pass away, but I don't think this is best because they're limited and they can't actually sell, mortgage, convey, or do anything else. The only rights they get are the right to live there until they pass away. Okay, so number 5 is called an enhanced life estate deed, aka ladybird deed. So if you've ever had one of my classes on this and we brought it up, you've probably heard me talk about ladybird deeds because they're an incredible estate planning tool. So what this says is kind of like the life estate deed. That's why they call it an enhanced life estate. The difference though is you don't just get to live in the property until you die, you actually keep ownership until you die. So this says you can appoint somebody that upon your death, title transfers to them automatically. Okay, now a couple things on this. It's not treated like a present transfer. So the big thing there is there's no doc stamps that are due. So we'll go over taxes and doc stamps right at the end of this video. The other good thing about that, as far as Medicaid calculations are concerned, since it's not a transfer right now, on that look back period for Medicaid calculations, they don't take this off. So that doesn't go against your calculations on that. The other big thing is, since it happens right at your death, it's an automatic transfer, it avoids probate. Okay, so some really, really advantageous tools there. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about are doc stamp taxes. So imagine that the government wants your money anytime there's a transfer of property. So the way this works is it's a 70-cent tax per $100 that's being transferred. Okay, so it's usually the sales price. Sometimes it's the mortgage value. We'll go over that in a second. Usually on purchase and sale transactions, it's a tax on the sales price. Okay, so if you have a $100,000 condo, just for easy math for people like me, you've got a $700 tax. Okay, so that's the way that works. It goes right to the county. The other thing is if you're refinancing, sometimes we'll deal with this where somebody's refinancing property to take off one of the owners, where they're changing up that. You only pay tax on half of the balance of the mortgage. So if you're dealing with our team, we'll generally ask you for a payoff from the bank, or we'll get one ourselves, and you're only paying tax on half of that. So on a refi of $100,000, you're paying tax on $50,000, aka $350. The other thing there are deeds between spouses. It's not a pure transfer like it would be to a third party, so those taxes are exempt as well. Okay, so that wraps up deeds in hopefully a couple of minutes. If you liked what you saw, you learned something new, give it a like and a share and a subscribe and all the fun stuff there. Let me know that you like what we're doing. If you want me to come teach a class at your brokerage or your agency, give me a shout, chip@closingbear.com. And if you have new contracts that you want us to close for you, if you want to be a part of what we're doing here, email those to contracts@closingbear.com, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.